And then when you make the decision to actually have one, you need to understand what it's doing for you. Can people and do people actually want to buy my product or buy my services from this website? That would put you in 100% of a better situation than what you are with none.
Well, hello there and welcome to the About Small Business podcast. In this episode, I'm actually going to be speaking to Michael Knowles from Raw Digital. Raw Digital are particularly well known right across the Northeast. They've got clients that extend way further. So I'm excited, Michael, that you've agreed to come and speak on the podcast. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's now Raw Digital. You do a number of digital marketing services, but there appears, from what I've seen on your website, to be a particular specialism around your SEO, pay-per-click, any of the sort of really fundamentals that go into
Google. Search marketing.
Search marketing
is our area of focus, and we've got there over a period of time.
Yeah.
So we went from doing quite a few different digital marketing services to about 7, and we got to, and then over the last 18 months, we've niched further. So SEO, which is the organic side of being found online.
I was going to say, like, so that does seem to set you apart from a number of other marketing agencies. You are going really
niche.
Yes.
Yeah. So SEO, paid advertising, on Google, Bing, YouTube, that kind of thing. People have seen that. We write content for people that supports how they rank online and get found. And then we do analytics. And analytics is about the traffic that hits your site, but most importantly, what makes the phone ring? Where did a lead actually come from? How are people actually engaging with the business?
It's interesting because, speaking to someone that's probably a little bit more on the creative side, you sound as though you're going a lot more into the deep dive into the maths of it.
Yeah.
And the numbers and the data.
For me, that's what our type of marketing is.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the reasons that I actually fell in love with it. Being a bit of a gamer and a computer geek, playing Football Manager and things out, which is very data led.
Yeah.
And then when I was introduced to things like analytics, I realised that it's pattern recognition.
Yes.
That's what we do. Like, we have an element of creativity, but it's pattern recognition, and then it's tailoring messaging and testing it and see what fits. That's what we do.
That is quite interesting. The thing that leaps to mind, as we mentioned off camera, I'm a musician, and first and foremost, I'm a guitarist. Now, guitarists are notoriously bad for not reading music.
Okay.
But what we do is we recognise patterns, be they scales, chords. Like on a piano, you'll go, like all the white notes, for example, will be a C scale, whereas in my head, I'm visualising a pattern for that. And just wondering if maybe there's hope for me on the analytics side of it yet, but if I can recognise patterns.
I think so. But, it's not rocket science. It's something which is often made to be this picture that what we're doing is like a black magic, and it's really not. It's understanding what is important, what's vanity metrics. So what's important, what matters to you as a business, and then using them as the metrics that you judge success by. That's it. And then over time you test different variations and variants of things and start to see where the anomalies and where the patterns and the successes are.
Well, I've seen on your website, as we've discussed, and I've also noticed a lot of the content that you post on LinkedIn, and you're very, very big on the conversions.
Yeah.
And measuring by the conversions that you're getting, and indeed to the point where you're saying, look, if you're working with another agency and they're giving you, say, we've got you all this traffic, you need to be asking, where are the conversions? Yeah. It sounds obvious when you put it like that, but clearly not everyone is looking at that.
Again, I think it's the way that people have been sold what marketing is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said it a little while ago on another bit of content. It's been said many, many times. Is, do you want 10,000 people to hit your website, or do you want 100 who care?
Yes.
Yeah. Is any Tom, Dick and Harry could drive more traffic to a website through any means, but it's more of a skill as to, let's say, connecting with your ideal customer and making them want to come to the website to find out more. that's where the skill is, and that's the bit that businesses actually want. Whereas in the past, what they've been sold and given is reports that show data and metrics that the traffic's picking up, there's more people coming to the site, there's people hanging around more. But none of that matters if nothing's happening, because they're spending money on marketing that's ultimately not leading to a marketing qualified lead or a sale.
Yeah, and consequently no returns on that.
Exactly.
And which is going to dry up and finish off the business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, speaking to you, we're talking a lot about the data, the analytics. Were you more of a maths person at school? Did you enjoy your maths lessons?
I've never actually been asked that. Yes. So I had my maths hammered into me from my dad.
Right. What's your dad do? Is he?
My dad was a musician.
Really?
So my dad was a musician, actually, yeah. But he was big on maths. It's not something that grabbed me immensely until I'd got to a point where I started looking at. So it was an ex-girlfriend was doing business studies in economics, and I didn't do that. And then I saw the work that they were doing, and that really interested me.
Right.
And the economics side is to me, it's contextually applied maths. That's what I saw it as. And then that's when the real kind of interest grew.
That's an interesting way of putting it, actually.
Yeah, I was definitely a frustrated creative. I had ideas, but I couldn't actually do them. Whereas this part I could do and I could see. And then the interest kind of grew from there. And I started doing some free courses, reading little bits here and there online about marketing, and trying to kind of go from an interest in a general vague area of marketing into things that really grab me.
Right. So did you have any interest at school in the marketing side of things to the point where you maybe sort of looked at going on to university to do that?
So I wasn't very good at school. First time round I did a degree that was through clearing that didn't mean anything. And I left and I worked in sales for a while. And then when I met my now wife, I went away to university again and then did marketing.
Right.
And that's when I started to realise this is a real thing. This is something you could actually make a career in.
What prompted you to go back? Because it doesn't sound like your first.
I was stuck.
Right.
So my wife, I'm very, very lucky. My wife's a real high flyer, ambitious person.
Right.
And if I hadn't met her, I don't know if I would have. This might sound a bit cheesy, but she gave me the kick up the backside to go, you need to be more. She didn't say it, but she made me realise
she inspired
she's a high
that
flyer,
in you.
And to be with a high flyer, you have to be a high flyer. And it gave me a kick. And I was like, right, if I want to stay with this person who's the love of my life, how do I become more? And it might as well be the thing that I'm interested in. So went back to uni. It was good, but the real kind of marketing education for me came from when I eventually actually landed in some marketing businesses and marketing roles.
I was going to ask about that because some people do get a little bit cynical about their university experience if it's not worked out the way that they wanted to. And I kind of put myself in that category.
Yeah.
I'm of an age where I've sold the concept that if you go away and get a degree, everyone's going to be waiting for you once you've finished, and it wasn't like that.
Absolutely.
And I think, to be fair, I think for most people for whom it was like that, I think are probably retired now.
Okay.
But I do find it fascinating that you had a bite of the cherry. You clearly, from your first degree in clearing, you don't sound as though you'd valued that anywhere near as much as your second go.
The second time I valued a little bit more. I think what I've realised now is when I was looking back is it was a line in the sand more than what the university meant. It meant moving away, it meant growing up, it meant fending for myself, it meant figuring things out, it meant balance of education, development and working at the same time. And starting to actually carve a niche where I would try and go towards. I think that's all I got from it. I met some nice people. I loved living in Leeds. But again, and this touches on why I went back to be a lecturer.
If you're enjoying this content, please do like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to let you know exactly when another podcast's going to drop.
I think that the content was a little bit outdated, and I think that it needed to be more contextually relevant to the jobs that at that time and now that people want in marketing. I still feel as though the content then was probably about 10 years outdated.
So you lectured as well?
I lectured not that long ago. Was asked to go back to Newcastle Uni as a lecturer. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So is that a side of it that you enjoy?
I really loved, and it was very interesting, is seeing young people when you're breaking down and adding context to what they thought was actually a very difficult thing.
Yeah.
And seeing the light bulb turn on when you see the cogs connect and they actually get something.
Yeah.
That was fabulous. That was absolutely sensational for me.
Were you lecturing in marketing?
Yes.
Right.
To different levels across the university. But what was interesting is some of the content that needed to be discussed was quite similar because it hadn't been done. What I found interesting there was you had a lot of really smart young people at university paying a lot of money, and their inspiration was coming from influencers and things like that. And all that they were seeing, this is my opinion and my take, okay, was that they saw the creative, flashy front side. They didn't understand that a lot of the people who are successful, whichever marketing channel it is, they either are very smart and understand data and analytics themselves, or they have a great person behind them who is helping them understand that. It doesn't matter how that influencer looks, they'll probably be very smart and they'll understand their audience.
I think it is quite fascinating when you do actually understand the teams, because I think we're so used to seeing people with the phones just speaking, which, you know, and you can get great content like that, and particularly like when the likes of TikTok started and things like that. But I mean, as with YouTube now, I mean, some of the YouTube studios are what you might have expected to see from companies like the BBC or other TV companies, and people are really up in the game. Yeah, and it's not always. It's easy to like just look at your phone and wonder why your videos aren't looking like. So, you know, they were filmed, you know, they're beautifully lit, amazing sound, as opposed to like sort of the really echoey room acoustics and things like that. And I suppose it's as we've discussed off camera, it's all that knowledge that you acquire, either through doing it through trial and error, or hiring it in.
That's a thing which I think is a steep learning curve for people, and it was for me. As I thought naively, as a business owner or entrepreneur, you're meant to have all the answers. You should be able to figure everything out. Whereas Tony Robbins talks about it is take the least what's it called, the easiest path, so the least path of resistance to
path of least resistance. Yeah.
So for me, I wanted to do more video. I haven't got the budget to have a full setup, like the beautiful setup that you have here.
Thank you.
So I spoke to James Ibbotson, great guy, told him what we needed. James is sorting us out, and that's my shortcut. Yeah, what can we do to try and get this kind of output that I want? I want to talk to this ICP and I want to convey that. Rather than trying to do it yourself. Yeah. And it might take me 3 years to test and understand.
Or to be fair, you may never get there because you become distracted with other things.
Yeah, exactly.
Something that's not talked about enough, and that is outsourcing to get the help that you may need and realise your actual idea. I mean, for me personally, I love learning. I love that, you know, learning new skills and developing these things so that I can do them. Yeah. I mean, well, my degree was film and television when we were on like U-matic cassettes and things like that. So the old fashioned, but I enjoy playing around like that. But I think if you are focused on the business, you can't overstate the importance of having someone there that can just take you to one side, look at what you're doing. And I think, to be fair, that does appear to be what you can then offer someone else with their marketing, the data, their analytics.
There's lots of ways that you could do SEO, paid ads. you could set up your own analytics and you could write your own content. But if you're learning as you go while you're also trying to do all of these other elements to your business, how much focus is it really going to get? How much motivation are you going to have on maintaining and improving that one channel, those two channels? The answer is for not very long and not very well.
Yeah.
That's just, unfortunately, that is the way of the world. You can't be everywhere and you can't give everything 110% because it's just impossible.
No, absolutely not. Now, I've seen your website, and on your website, you've got an awful lot of social proof and demonstrations of the results that you've managed to get for people. Now, you mentioned, obviously, you can look at the Google Analytics, you can put like sort of the Google Tag Manager, what you're doing on your website, things like that, and you can do a lot of these things yourself. In your view, for a new business, someone starting out, they're just getting the ducks in a row to launch, they've maybe got a website, at what point would you say you need to start looking at that side of things, like with the analytics?
Outside help or for analytics specifically?
Well, I think if we go for analytics specifically, and then if you can suggest when you should perhaps come to speak to someone like you.
Yeah, so for any business owner who has any kind of online presence in a website, analytics is day one.
Right.
Absolutely, like, paramount. And the reason being is some businesses don't need a website. Okay, and then when you make the decision to actually have one, you need to understand what it's doing for you. And if you don't, what you're doing is by adding content or adding new pages and rewriting things, you're just adding noise to a website, which is unstructured, based on a feeling which way the wind's blowing. But analytics actually gives you a very simple roadmap as to this works on this page doesn't work. Okay, so you look at A and B and you say, okay, what does this page have that this one doesn't, that would be more engaging? Is it the copy? Is it the visuals? Is it the layout? It can be as straightforward as that, where you start to go, okay, we have two different templates here and one of them just doesn't seem to land. People don't spend very long on this page. People tend to bounce off and exit this page very quick. Whereas this type of page, people tend to stick around. Now, it could be subject matter, layout, content, whatever it might be. But
are you finding that kind of analysis, when it comes to someone like yourself and the services that you're providing, are you finding that there's still going to be a degree of trial and error?
Yes, because that's what marketers are. We don't have a magic recipe. Marketers test, and marketers try to understand things and tweak very small things until you find the recipe that works for your audience. So step one with anyone with a business is, I would say, set your analytics up very, very quick. You can go on to something like, even if you don't want to use an agency like us, you can actually go on to things like Google Skill Shop, free skills, and you could learn how to set the basics up yourself. That would put you in 100% of a better situation than what you are with none. That's a great starting point for an SME business.
So at what point then would you suggest someone coming to talk to someone like yourself?
When you're serious about growth online, when you're really serious, when it becomes less of a lifestyle business, and when you want to have a few channels that really help elevate and scale your business. That's when I would say, you also have to have some budget. Is one of the things that I'm very, very careful of, and it's part of the messaging on our site, and that's purposeful, is we want to work with 7, 8, and very occasionally 9-figure businesses. What we don't want to do, and there's various reasons for this, it's not that they're bad people, it's not that they've got bad businesses, it's because if people are a little bit too small and they want to work with us, but it would mean that it's their savings going into it, that's a very dangerous position for a company to be in. And I would hate someone risking their all, putting all their eggs in one basket. And it's not because of the certainty that we can do this, it's because there wouldn't be the freedom for us to be able to test, which is what we have to do. There would be this feeling of, right, we need this to work now because this is our everything. And that's not a good place for someone to be in to start a marketing mentality. So yeah, I would say once people have a reasonable budget, they can actually afford to set aside a marketing budget and actually consider that.
I think that's, I mean, I appreciate your candor with that actually. But what's coming, I suppose an interesting analogy for me is like if you're investing,
okay,
it wouldn't be wise to pump all your savings into sort of medium risk shares if you knew you were going to do that.
Okay.
However, if you are wanting the growth, as you say, if you need to be looking at growth, you sort of, right, I've got this to invest. So you're basically looking at coming to someone like you as an investment.
Okay.
That's not gonna. I mean, if you're lucky, you may hit the jackpot and you might find something that works.
Yeah.
And you can get them that return really, really quickly.
Yeah.
But it's sounding to me like you're gonna need a little bit of time for your magic. I know you said it wasn't magic, but it kind of is to someone that isn't familiar with those kind of tools.
So there's a few things. Someone needs, ideally, they should have analytics set up. If they don't, we can improve it. But a good position to be in when you then think, right, do I need to speak to an agency like us, or a good freelancer who might be more within budget, is a great position to be in. Is, do you have some data that shows that your website actually works? That when people come to the website, can they find what they need and can they actually buy it? And do they do that? If you've got that, that makes life so much easier, because then what you're asking us to do is scale something that has a working fundamental and foundation. If someone comes to us and they don't have anything and they've got a very minimal budget, that's when that risky situation comes in, because we can fix this part and we can look at this, but the client doesn't actually even know, well, can people and do people actually want to buy my product or buy my services from this website?
So I think fundamentally someone has to be ready to come and speak to someone like yourself, and then you can kind of take them to the next level.
Yes. Yeah, that's what we do. We accelerate.
Yeah.
We've got a little video, it's a bit cheesy, but we accelerate online performance. So we'll take them from having a certain kind of ROAS, or return on ad spend, to XYZ. That's what we'll do. We'll drive conversions from standard industry benchmark to market leading by the time that they're finished by first stage with us. That's the goal.
Are you able to help then? Because certainly the website, is an area of strength for you. The Google analytics, the whole SEO. Are you able to help with practically every channel of social media, or are there any that you would stay away from?
So the only channel on social media that we support on is LinkedIn. Aside from that, we work with some really good partners and they manage those channels. That's the beauty of not being full service.
Right.
So 4 services: SEO, paid advertising, just on Google, Bing, YouTube, and recently LinkedIn, written content to go on blogs, and then analytics. The other parts we pass to people who have similar values and standards that will work and look after our clients as I would expect. And we would rather pass them on. Not white label, just pass them on to good people who will work in the same way.
And so basically, again, you're kind of outsourcing in a way, but passing on, I suppose, aren't you?
We wouldn't look out. We would literally just introduce them.
Right.
We would just introduce them. I don't want to be managing, and I don't want my team having discussions around stuff that they're not immense or great at.
Right.
We would probably have a better understanding than 90% of people, but that's just because we work in digital marketing. But we would rather pass them on to a social media specialist,
right? Because
that has its own skills and nuances itself.
And is that quite simply, I suppose, the answer to what my next question was going to be, is why have you chosen not to become an expert yourself in the social media side of it, because you feel that other people can do it better and you'd rather focus
I think it's interesting.
on the
I'm not interested.
Okay.
Genuinely is. I'm not interested in being full service, and I'm not that interested in some of those areas. I'll not go too far down that rabbit hole because there's people that work in those areas. But what's strange is I work in digital marketing, but I actually came off all of those social media platforms, aside from LinkedIn. Yeah, for various reasons. Found them a bit too addictive, found that I was wasting time, and found that I wasn't actually able to be all in for my kids. so
Yeah.
not for me. But
do you have? I mean, just on a side note, do you have a strict parent policy as regards social media?
So my kids aren't old enough yet, but will I have? Absolutely.
I've got 2 older kids, and I remember making a decision quite early on that I wanted them to have an iPad and experience that sort of technology from relatively young. But I have to say, on reflection, I'm not really convinced that worked out.
There's a difference between between the technology and the social platforms.
Yeah.
So it was quite interesting. So I worked for Google for coming up 5 years. And I was delivering training decks. There's probably about 40 different decks, and some of it was about staying safe online and things like that. And it was very interesting because some of the content was about keeping youngsters safe online. Yeah. And I think some of the things that exposes to, you've got some very strange people out there who will create odd content,
yes,
which appeals to kids and then has something very odd in there. And I just want to protect my kids from that. It was initially the part that I'd said before is I wanted to be all in for my kids.
Yeah,
is I found myself, and I'm sure you've done it, and many people that listen to your podcast will have done as well. Is you'll have come home from work. Your kids are sat there, and for no reason at all, you pick your phone up and you're scrolling for nothing.
Yeah. And
a really kind of poignant moment was I'd had a really, really crap day at work, a lot on, and I was scrolling, and my son sat there watching Peppa Pig or something, and then my wife went, right, it's time for bed, and an hour and a half had gone by.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even really spoken to my son. I know it paints me in a terrible light, but we've all probably done it at times.
I think, to be fair,
what am I doing? What am I doing?
It's just something, as you say, like the algorithms are addictive.
That's what they're done for.
And it's just so easily done.
Yeah. Whereas, how much more could we have got from, okay, I've had a bad day, let's put this down, let's play Hungry Hippos, let's play hide and seek, let's go and kick a ball around, or let's have a wrestle, or let's have a pillow fight, or whatever, let's go and play with your water gun out the back. How much more would we have both got from that than an hour and a half of just...
I think the difficulty is it's like sort of when they're with their peers are all on it. It's very, very hard to deny them that. I mean, certainly when my kids were younger, the reports about the benefits were very mixed as well.
Okay.
There were studies out that were saying, yes, go for it, let them sort of use this technology, and similarly others saying, no, don't, it's all... And as I say, I'm part of a generation who, you know, we were told we were going to have our lives mashed up by video nasties when there were video cassettes. I think you just kind of got to deal with it. But I think it is interesting that you're saying now, as a digital marketing specialist, that you've basically sort of taken yourself out of that.
Yeah, I wanted to... so I went to an event recently, a Tony Robbins event, and that was incredible. And I wanted to focus on, when I came back, like one of the limiting beliefs for me that I need to break is, am I a fun enough dad? And certain types of games that my son and my daughter want to play, sometimes I'd be worried that I don't get how to play that kind of game, so I'd step out of it. And the thing that I came out of it with is, that's BS. Yeah. Showing up and trying is more important than potentially being a 10 out of 10 at that thing. So there, just go all in. That was my thing, right? I'm going to be all in then. So now I've gone one step further. In the morning, what's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? Do you look at your phone?
Yeah.
So now that doesn't happen, and it's actually not that difficult to do. Is my phone stays on the charger.
Yeah. And
I get up and I go downstairs and I have breakfast. So for an hour, I'm all in with my kids. Then when I go upstairs to have a shower, get ready, and then I'll pick my phone up.
Yeah.
But also when I finish work now, come in, put my wallet and my phone down on the shoe case, and turn my phone off until after 8 o'clock when they go to bed. So for 3 hours, I'm all in.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting.
I mean, one thing I'm quite proud of, as a family, we try and eat together.
Yeah.
And we've got a dinner table that actually gets used.
Yeah.
And that's one thing for us. I do try and insist, you know, like sort of they might not feel like coming down. The mates can have TV dinners, and that's fine. I mean, I think as parents, you you just got to do whatever works because it's such a bloody hard job. But one thing I'm quite proud of is like, so we do eat together whenever possible. Obviously, my wife's she's another high flyer, got a very demanding job. But we'll try and eat together, and while we're at the station, no phones at the table.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I get told off if there's something. All right, is that Dad? No.
You're checking the football scores or something like that.
No, totally. No, probably more like just scrolling on something that I'm addicted to from earlier on.
Okay.
I've never been a football person, so I was terrible at it at school, and I think it just sort of scarred me for. And to be fair, I was just better at other things, so I kind of stuck with them.
Yeah.
But that sort of work-life balance, then, has that been something
I've got to work on?
Yeah.
Something I haven't got right, but I've definitely made inroads very recently to improve that significantly. I was listening to someone talk about, and it's about there's wealth in different forms.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I didn't realise that as the business owner, I might earn more than other people, but my staff are wealthier than me with time. That's not it's boohoo me, and that they're getting everything. I wasn't looking after that part for myself.
I think there are certain choices, and as you get older, I don't want to sound like a real cliche of like you decide on what's important, but your focus alters.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, as you get older, you just become more conscious that you've not got a limitless amount of time. And every day you've got one day less. And if that day hasn't counted for anything, then you're not getting that back.
I like that.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I thought leaving university, I thought it was all about money.
Yeah.
And got jobs in sales, and it was just all about salary. And then I think as most business owners realise, that's not necessarily the most efficient way of getting that. And then you have business owners who just think, actually, this isn't why I'm in business. I want the business for, I suppose, a lot of the reason I started this podcast, it's about the passion of how you want to spend your day. And it might be that someone's earning twice as much as you are for their day.
Yeah.
If I've spent my day doing what I love doing, then that's got to be a good day.
You have wealthy people who are miserable.
Yeah.
And you have poor people who are really happy. But it's because they're living, I'm not going to say the authentic self, but they're living to what they want.
Yeah.
I think that is so true, and that happened to me. So I was in sales as well. I'd previously worked in sales for a long time.
What were you selling out of interest?
I was working for an accounting software company.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And there was really good people, and I had the best boss I've ever had, a guy called Gary Brown. Unbelievable man manager. He was like the Jose Mourinho of software management. And I was very good at it, and I was making a fortune. And there seemed to be, I don't know whether it was a day or just a moment or a couple of weeks, where the motivation it was just gone. There was nothing there that drove me to go, I want to sell software to people who kind of need it. I need to be doing what I love. I want to be paid to think. So after knocking my head on the wall for a long time, a couple of years, to try and get my first break into marketing, I went into a small little agency, and again, I would describe it as a learning curve. Is they were doing what I liked, but they weren't doing it with any integrity and standards.
Right.
And that was where I realised why I've probably been so difficult is I have standards. I have really high expectations.
A lot of sales jobs get like that, though, don't they? It's I think what I'm interested in what you just said is you were selling software to people that kind of needed it. Yeah, kind of needed it. Whereas straight away, the difference in terms of what you're doing now, you in fact you will actively turn people away. You're not at this stage to work with us yet. Yeah, but please come back when
there's multiple things, like do they have the right values and ways of working that matches with us? Yeah, that's really important. I don't want to work with bad people, and I don't want to put my staff through working with bad people. Yeah, I want my staff to feel valued. I want people to understand the work that's going into what we're doing. Now, that's part of our job to help show that. But there's good people in business and there's bad.
Do you, in terms of like, because you mentioned Gary, your boss, and do you like to think that he's influenced you in terms of how you then treat your staff? Because I mean, you sound 100%. As though you're
100%.
Yeah.
He was like the sales whisperer. What I picked up from him was, as you can imagine, we were in a sales team that made up probably about maybe 40% of the revenue of the whole floor. Right. We were a team, but in that, it's dog eat dog. And everyone knew it, and everyone was one of them. So it could be brutal. But he managed each person with exactly what they needed. And he would ask them, what do you need? What's your goal? Like, what do you need from me? And what was interesting, he knew nothing about the software. Knew nothing. Yeah. But he didn't need to. Because we were his product, he needed to know everything about us. What was going on at home, what was motivating us, what the challenges that we have, everything like that. And when he knew that my motivation to sell had gone, that must have been really difficult for him.
Yeah.
But he asked me about what the goal is and where I want to go. And he tried to create pathways for me to be able to get there as long as I did this. You know, he's not a charity.
Yeah.
Do this for me and I'll help you go there. And I loved that. And that's very fair.
The negotiation skills as well, isn't it? And the dealing with people.
Yeah.
Just what's coming at me from that is, do you think that has also perhaps influenced how receptive you are to outsourcing for the help that, with skills that maybe you're not as strong on? So because, if he's there as a sales manager, and clearly a very successful one, knowing nothing about the software, I suppose in a way is that archetypical, each man to their job.
I think it would have played a part. I think it was sat there, but as I went on to become a business owner, there was quite a long gap. And now when I reflect back on it, probably, but there was definitely a period of time where I still thought, am I meant to know, or do I have to pretend that I know everything as a business owner? You go to network and you have to put on the front. This is the old me would have thought, I have to put on this front that I've got this. You talk about knowing your numbers. I know.
Yeah.
Do you know your sales pipeline and how your funnel works? Yeah, know all that. Do you know how all your marketing, social can work? Yeah, I know all that. Can talk you through that, what we do. Working with these American consultants called Hydra over the last 12 to 18 months, they unlocked something. And because they'd been agency owners, they got me to admit that I don't know. And to actually understand that there's blind spots that you don't know, you can't see. And that was terrifying, but also relaxing to go, that's why there's a weight there. I've been able to feel this weight of problems that I either couldn't see or couldn't solve and couldn't admit to anyone, myself included, that I couldn't do these things.
It's interesting that we feel that though, isn't it? Because I quite an old anecdote regarding Henry Ford, and I believe this is memory, so I hope no one sees this and shoots me down totally, but I believe he was actually taking someone to court for calling him stupid.
Right.
And in the court session, I think someone was asking him all sorts of questions, and he was saying, I can employ people to answer those questions for me. I don't need to. And that's the thing. It's like sort of, if people have got those jobs and if people are doing what they are good at, Henry Ford perhaps wasn't the kind of guy that was great. You maybe could do without him in your local pub quiz, but that doesn't take away from, one of the most famous names in the motor trade, entrepreneur circles.
Yeah. But that's why people bring in good people.
Yeah.
You bring in people who are arguably better than you at certain things and are smart people, and let them do their job.
I think that's what's quite fascinating though about your sales manager, because he appeared to be a good sales manager.
Mm-hmm. He wouldn't have been able to sell. It's like, there's certain footballers who become a manager. Yeah, and it doesn't work. But there's also managers who could never play football. Yeah. Yeah, but they didn't have to. He couldn't have sold anything, but it's because that was my job.
Yeah.
His job was me. to get the most out of me. And I honestly think that that's part of my job now. And it's something that I've really learned I've had the pleasure of employing some really good people. Some of them with us now, some of them not. But what I have had consistently is good feedback from them, from the management style and the way that I go about it, because I genuinely love trying to make people feel 10 feet tall and make them feel so confident about what they're doing, because I give them the freedom to fail. Freedom to fail. I've literally had a chat with one of my senior team today to really push that. Is I need to help you get more confidence. I get that you want to sense check things and stuff like that, but as long as you're doing things with consideration and with attention and with our best interest and that of our client at heart, work away. Work away. Because you're going to make an error somewhere, but as long as there's rationale behind what you're trying to do, you've got everything with the right motivations, you could spend all day over analysing everything and no action would happen. That's rich coming from an analytics guy. But you have to actually take action and then analyse what went right and what went wrong, rather than analysing first and having no action for 3 months. You're not going to move. It's
the action that's crucial, isn't it? But I do wonder as well, because the way you're approaching your staff also appears to be the way I would perhaps expect you to be behaving as a lecturer.
Okay.
Making people feel better, encourage, and just try to get the best out of them in that respect.
So that came about. I had another mentor. There was a guy called Gori Yaya, and he made me feel 10 feet tall. So he gave me great confidence, and he made me understand it's okay to not be the smartest person in the room, and you don't have to know everything. And that was previously when I'd been selected to work for Google and deliver these talks. Some of them were online, and when we were doing the training for it, the idea of speaking to more than, say, 2 people at a time about what I know, I would have felt like I couldn't string a sentence together and I couldn't find words.
Really?
Oh, it was brutal. But then knowing that I was going to be going in front of audiences in the early days of 100, 200, 300 people, I didn't know how to stand. I didn't know what do I do with my hands? How do I convey confidence? What happens if someone discusses a point that I've said and they've thought something different? I had no tools available to be able to deal with that, and I didn't know where to go, and that fear would consume me. And the kind of the confidence that he put into me, I think probably stood me in good stead for business, for lecturing, and things like that.
So you mentioned mentors, and that was one of them. How essential do you think mentoring is within business?
I think it's absolutely vital. I actually offer it to quite a few people. It's not that I think I'm not arrogant enough to say, let me be your mentor, but I offer it to people as, if you need a sounding board, if you want to, I've had my business for nearly 10 years. I'm still learning. But if someone who's starting out, if they just want to sense check things and go, I've come up with this, what would you do? Not saying I'm right, but just as a sounding board, I offer that. And it's because people have done it for me. I think it's vital. It can be a very, very lonely place. Being a sole director of a company, it can be very, very isolating. And you're often nervous of saying anything because you'll think, well, will everyone think boo-hoo? He's crying into his glass slippers or whatever, but it can be isolating. Yes, you're at the top and you're expected to lead, but you're still a human being. You've still got doubts, you've still got stress. You're not necessarily in doing the do every day, but you're overseeing the whole lot and you're mindful of everything. Because it's your baby that you're trying to protect and build. So I think having a mentor and having a network of similar-minded people around you, even if they're not your mentor, but they're sounding good, I think they're vital to maintaining stability and sometimes being able to find solutions that maybe your personality type might not have naturally gone to.
Interesting. I'm just conscious, actually. I'm kind of almost doing this backwards, but I normally start by talking to people about how at what point did they decide that they had to work for themselves. And we've covered lots of your earlier career.
Okay.
But it's just been an interesting direction. I think you've given some amazing insights on yourself and what you do. But I'm just interested to know the route, the route that got you there.
So, I'd left said sales company. I'd went into a small agency, and I kind of tested some of the things that I'd been learning in my own time. I then got picked up, and I was very fortunate, as I went to a company called Durham Lane.
Right.
And they were kind of a weird, interesting mix. So at the time, they were a sales outsourcing company, and they needed a marketing manager. And the two owners are chalk and cheese. They're so different. And they were probably one of the most important steps. They were fabulous for me. I butted heads with both of them, 100%, but it's probably because I was a business owner and didn't know. But they were amazing for me, great guys. And they gave me the freedom, they gave me the confidence, they gave me the training and the scope to kind of find the training that I felt like I needed to take them in a direction. So I was there for a little while. And then I was sold the fake dream that I'm sure everyone's had. I went to an agency that gave you free protein shakes and had a snooker table and a PlayStation. And I thought it was like the Northeast version of Google. And I was sold something. I think just sometimes companies like that are overcompensating for not having integrity and values. So they give you all this.
Yeah.
But it's because they don't have this. Yeah. So I went there and I was there 3 weeks. And I said to my wife, this is killing me, is I'm working for a couple of people who have some views on the world that are crushing. I can't be around them. They have certain views on certain types of people that I just don't want to listen to. I can't go into work on a Monday and hear this negative, just awful way of seeing certain types of people when it's not my viewpoint and I shouldn't have to listen to it.
No.
And I also saw there was a lot of wasted time. There was a lot of money going into fabricating reports. You know, making pretty graphs.
Yeah.
And manipulating the truth. And it just didn't sit well with me. And I said to my wife at the time, I said, this is killing me. Like, this is horrendous. I can't believe that I've made this mistake. And she said, you know what you've got to do. And do it before we have a kid. So I did. And I left with no safety net and started.
Was that quite scary? Or no. was it something you just knew you had to do?
It was staring me in the face.
Yeah.
As it was staring me in the face. There's a reason that certain people don't fit.
Yeah.
And certain people need to...
I think it's interesting because I've asked that question to obviously quite a large number of people now, and like people are either petrified about it, but other people, it's like maybe it feels like it should have been, but just no, it was just something that you had to do, because I was like that myself when I started working for myself. Yeah. I just had to do it. Leaving. If you
never try, then you don't know. What was interesting is, in my first interview at Durham Lane, is I met Lee and Richard, and they sat down. We had a chat about lots of things, and Lee asked me, "I've got one big question for you. Why have you not done this yourself?" I said, "Because I can't. I wouldn't know where to start." He said, "You can, because it's staring you in the face." And he said, "If we give you the backing, we help you with the people, we give you the office space, and we create an agency around you, would you run it?" I said no. Now, what an offer, right? But I had no clue. And he said, right, for the next stage of an interview, what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that in the future, you do have a company. What's it called and why? Now, at the time, their old logo was similar to your glasses shape, okay?
Right.
And I thought, well, a little bit of brand synergy, okay? lowercase r, lowercase o, lowercase a, lowercase r. So the glasses, the O, the A, the R. So it would be brand synergy between their glasses and a new logo that said RAW. But RAW also stood for real opportunities, actual results. And that's where my brand name actually started, is they asked me, what would you call it if you did? And then when I left the other agency, I was like, I already know what it needs to be called, because it means I've made that for a reason. And that was where RAW came from.
Brilliant. And the next question has to be, what's the future look like for RAW?
We're going to fly. We're going to absolutely fly. So I'm working with these American dudes, awesome. And we've put in all of the building blocks. So we've gone from this many services to any business who could afford us. That was what it previously was. And now we've gone 4 services, 8 sectors of this size, and that's it. That's where we stick. And where that came from is they had to hammer this into me because I was so terrified to really niche, because I didn't understand. He said, okay, there's 3 levels in business. Level 1 is you'll make anything for anyone, and you're totally price dependent. You're nobody's favorite. You're not very memorable. So you're kind of like the McDonald's of an SME.
Yeah.
Okay. Level 2, you have a little bit of specialism. You're a Italian or a French restaurant. Okay. Couple of specials on the board. You have some locals, quite price dependent. Again, it's not where you want to be in business, but you'll be okay. And that's where we were. Then what you've got is you have level 3, which is your Michelin starred French seafood restaurant set in the Swiss Alps, renowned for your world-class escargot. People who come through the door have travelled a long way to get there. They know what they want. They know it's expensive, but they know it's the best. And they're not going to ask you to make them a pizza. With scope creep. And that landed really for me. And I was like, I can see it. I get it now.
Yeah.
So now what we've done, we talked about the website. We've re-niched. We've really understood who our ideal customers are, the sectors that we're in that we feel the most confident with, that we've seen success and provable success, and stick to what we're amazing at, not just things that we can do and earn some money. I would rather pass them to someone else who's as good as what we are with what they do, and make sure that they get the best possible service, rather than us delivering a 6 out of 10. I would rather that we're known for being reviewed at being a 10 out of 10 for these services only.
That sounds fantastic. It's brilliant to speak to someone that's so focused, Michael. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And I wish you all success in the future. Thank you very much.